Yeah, he's passing.
He's passing.
Okay, folks,
Drop on the road.
we're ready to start the meeting.
Yeah.
Call the meeting to order. I believe we have a quorum. Only one absent. And minutes to approve. Motion.
Move them. Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Not all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. No appointments. Jennifer.
Over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have my report in front of you. I don't really have any new additions. If there's any questions?
I'm sorry, can I ask for one question? Meetings will be scheduled for review of full list of county-owned property. Is that property that's been foreclosed on? Is that what you're
That
referring
is
to?
not the foreclosed properties.
what is
Those
it?
are properties that are owned by Cayuga County. So for example, this building.
Okay, and courthouse and
Correct,
Dill
correct,
Street. And
correct.
you're maintaining
That property list, yes. And so we're supposed to review it every 3 years.
okay?
It should have been reviewed last year. But due to COVID and the change in directors, that did not get done last year. So
And review.
when I
it
took
just-
office, it was my goal to get it done this year.
Just as a comparison, because it doesn't, you don't pay taxes on these properties. You just review it to make
So
sure.
we review to see if we want to retain the property or if there's any that we want to dispose of, or if there's any other issues that may arise with them that are up for discussion. So for example, I believe that we have some properties in Onondaga County along the Thruway that we had acquired at one point for the Water and Sewer Authority in case they ever wanted to hook up to the Onondaga Water Authority. But were let know last year that they no longer needed those properties. So in our review, we will discuss, if our recommendation is to dispose of those, and we would bring that forward to the legislature.
Certainly not property that has a building on it. Could be just property that is in the ownership of Cayuga County.
Correct.
And there's how many of these? Just
There's about 90 or so on the list,
yes.
around there.
Ching, ching. Ching.
So
I wasn't clear what.
total
you were
properties that the
referring to.
county
Yes.
owns, yes, not ones that we would necessarily want to, yes.
Any,
Does this include our, hundreds of acres of woods that we don't do anything with?
So any property that we own, yes, it includes wooded areas as well.
That would be nice to see.
When you say we look at it and decide who's the we,
So there's a real property committee. It's in the policy. There's a whole slew of people.
but in the reality, there's,
Oh, well, there is actually a whole slew. It's myself, the county attorney's office, Shireen is on there, buildings and grounds, parks and trails, the highway, treasurer's office, planning. I may have missed somebody,
Okay,
but that's
that's
a
fine.
general idea of who's on it.
thank you.
any further questions?
One here.
One behind you.
Jennifer, this might be too early for you to answer, but I'm wondering if you could get back to us on those 90 properties that you mentioned. Would you be able to provide us with a report of those which are that we are using and are functioning for us, and those which are abandoned or not being used?
Yes, so at the end of this review process, I will be providing a summary to the legislature of,
Just that?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? If not, thank you, Jennifer.
I do have one resolution. I don't know if you want me to cover it now or if you want to.
Go
later.
right now.
Would you like me to move WM3 for discussion, Chair? I assume it's WM3.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next. The treasurer.
Yes, hi, everybody. Just one point that Jenny mentioned, I just happened to be on the legislature 20-some years ago when Dave Farrell was putting together that piece of land over on throughway that Jenny alluded to. And it was a big conversation then about the Water and Sewer Authority. He wanted to make sure we had access over there, and that's why he was adamant about keeping that parcel at the time. Does anybody have any main questions? The main thing I wanted to make you aware of is we're doing a lot of interviewing and trying to get this person hired for our position. We've interviewed a couple of people, and we have another one going on this week, and we're going to make a decision finally to fill that position that we've been working on for the last couple of months. So that's what we've been really busy with down in the treasurer's office.
Any questions for David?
Just quickly, I realize I don't understand this either. Continue the collection of what's late room occupancy tax?
I'm sorry.
Late room occupancy tax,
I think you're talking about
the first bullet.
the room occupancy taxes has been coming in from the people, the vendors that have the different Airbnbs and the different things, and some of the room occupancy they come in cycles, and we've been working on that.
And that's what you're meaning by late room?
Yeah,
Oh, that haven't come in on time,
Yes.
in a timely way?
correct.
Okay, all right.
Any further questions, anybody? Jim?
So Dave, on that late, you mentioned Airbnb and so forth. I understand we just get a generic list. We never know who pays in or anything. Is that contract ever going to be tweaked a little bit so we can then try to chase down businesses that maybe found a way to skirt around?
Yes. First of all, the Airbnbs directly report their information. So it's the other ones, the verbos and the odd ones that we usually have the most trouble with. And we've been tracking them down. And what we do is we send them letters letting them know if they're not on time with getting any of their information. And we're very vigilant about doing that.
I guess let me rephrase what I'm asking, because my understanding is some of the Airbnbs and stuff, we just have a contract. We just get a lump sum of money. We don't know what businesses coming from, how many nights, or although it's my understanding, and I've been informed that before we did this, we weren't getting anything. So that's obviously a plus.
Right.
But as time goes on, is there any opportunities to improve on
Sure.
information?
And that information is handled through the Airbnb. They send the tax information to them, but we can get copies of that. We can probably get information if you need, but they're not the ones that are behind in the taxes. It's the other ones. It's the verbos and these other new companies that come about that aren't following their parent company, like the Airbnbs are not as good at getting the information. And so they're the ones we're having trouble with. But if you need a copy of some of those others, they're on time. They're doing their thing most of the time.
Okay, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah, and if you have any individual ones, just let me know. I'm happy to
Yes.
look those up, because there's always a couple here and there. And there's always people trying to slide a little bit on those. Oh, I didn't know what was going on, or I didn't know we had to, or we weren't sure how long we were going to be in business, or they always have a different excuse.
Exactly.
And if you have some specific ones like that in your area, because you have a lot of them up in your area,
I will
then I'm
contact
happy to
you.
dig those out for you and show you.
I'll contact you directly. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? None. Thank you. Very resolution. She went home, didn't she? Or?
She's on.
The-
She's on that. So
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Mary Beth.
Hi, how are you? So I did submit a report. Big thank you to the team. I'm down to like 15 to 20 hours a week. And my team is working pretty hard trying to keep things moving. So big thank you to them. But if you have questions on my report, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Anybody? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Diane Ferris.
Hi, good evening. Hope you've all had a chance to read my report. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Diane? If not, thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Yes, without the resolutions, it looks like. Good heavens, can't be going that fast.
Don't hack it.
Don't jinx it.
Okay. Ways and Means has 5 resolutions. We'll take them one at a time. Motion for WM1,
I'll move it.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number two, I wish somebody would explain that to me because I wasn't aware of this motion. The resolution.
Lisa means number two. Yes, this is a resolution that we're bringing forward to go to the full legislative meeting. It is for a grant for Housing Visions to work on applying for a grant. The county has to be the sponsor of the grant, and it will be to remodel a property on State Street that has been in foreclosure that the city took possession of, and it would be to remodel it into 16 low-income apartments. So we are having to have a public hearing at the legislative meeting next week. So that is a requirement of the grant that we publicize and have a public hearing to discuss it in case anybody from the public want to make comment on it. And this will also authorize us to apply for the grant, accept if we're awarded it. There is no local cost towards the grant. The Housing Visions will be the lead on it. They'll be writing it. We'll just actually have to submit it on this electronic portal, and we'll review it before it's submitted.
Any questions?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll let them go first.
Well, let's move it for discussion.
Yeah, do all that.
Second.
Okay, now just,
Okay. So, that, when you say housing division, is that a county-owned department or is
So
that
it's Housing Visions is the name of a contractor, a vendor.
vision?
Yes, and they would actually be the owners of the property.
Properties in Auburn?
It is in the city of Auburn, yes, on State Street.
So why isn't the city doing this and why is the county doing
The
it?
city has actually already applied for this funding for a different project, and this funding is available for the county to also go after. So since we are responsible for housing low-income people all within the county, whether it's in the city, whether it's not, a lot of the families might actually come through maybe being homeless, maybe do transitional housing, and maybe eventually end up in these units. So it's just a way to provide, within the county, more accessible low-income housing. And this would be at no cost to the county. So it's a way to get a property rehabbed that could be used.
I just want to do a follow-up on that question. So through the county, so this 16-unit place will be somehow tied in with the county for those things that you just talked about.
The county would not have any ownership. It would just be an apartment like any other apartments that are owned in the community already, other low-income properties. We obviously place people there and they can have we give the rent to the individual. The rent goes to the individual and the individual pays the rent.
Okay, so it's not tied into health.
Not own it in any way, shape or form or operate it. It would be like that.
Jim had most of my questions. I'm just a little confused myself why the county would do something.
The county has to apply for the funding. The
Okay.
vendor cannot apply for it themselves directly.
It has to go through a municipality.
Yes, it has to go through the municipality.
And the city's already used
City
their.
already has, they also had applied for some other funding for some other projects
Okay.
already.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a
Used
limit.
his-
but-
My question was, do we know, or can you familiarize us with what the city's plan and project was? Is there?
I do not remember. I do not remember. They did tell us, because we had talked about this with them. They're obviously all in support of this because it is property that they own and it will be located in the city of Auburn. So they are in support of it. I don't remember. I don't know, Trish, if you remembered. I don't remember.
I read in the paper that they're supporting a project on East Hill next to Sam's Shoes and redeveloping that project. I think mixed use, potential residential.
Chris?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just question I'm in support of this. I'm just trying to get my mind around. It's a procedural question, I think, for council. This is coming through Ways and Means, even though because it has to do with finance accepting money.
That's correct. And
And-
it's also setting the public hearing.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I initially was just, the point of clarification is in order to be eligible for this, the property has to be abandoned and put back on for use. That,
Yes.
yes.
If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried, thank you. Number 3,
We did that.
We did that one already.
we did,
That was Jenny's.
That was Jenny's.
okay, sorry. Number 4,
Yes, number 4, this is one that I've presented before you. As a way to kind of try and reduce some healthcare expenditures at the county, we already have as an option Medicare Advantage plan that people who are Medicare eligible, retirees, mainly, there are a few actives, but it mainly applies to retirees. They have the option to select this and instead of Excellus Blue Cross and having Excellus Blue Cross and Medicare, traditional Medicare, this is a different product that kind of includes everything all together, your pharmacy, medical, your doctor's appointments and everything. And it's significantly cheaper for the employee and the employer when people opt into this program. Right now, it's pretty much people's option. We have got it negotiated into some contracts for future retirees to have to participate, but we're talking probably about 20 years out that would happen. So this is the program has been, a lot of people in the city of Auburn are participating in it way more than we have. And the community college has got a lot of people start participating in this program and saving them a significant amount of money. We really can't force people to participate in this. So what I'm proposing is that we reduce the employee contribution to help maybe get people to give it a try. And, you know, they wouldn't even have to permanently be in it. They'd be in it for the year. They could always opt out. And just to give you, I have some numbers here. I mean, currently with the current contribution percentages, where if the employee picks the the Medicare Advantage program, for individual, they probably would pay about 15%. And if they have a spouse and the spouse wants to elect it, they have to pay 50%. If they pick that, instead of being on Blue Cross Blue Shield for the family coverage, the employee saves $5,000 and the employer saves $11,000 a year. So by making this change I'm proposing, the employee will save a little bit more. They'll only have to pay 5% for themselves of the premium and 10% for their spouse. So the employee for family coverage will save $6,400. The county will still save $9,500. So I'm trying to do something that will maybe incentivize a few more people to try it. We only have 14 people on it who've elected out of, I actually should look at the total, I don't know, but there's hundreds of people who are retirees. So this is just take an attempt at it and then bringing it to you kind of, you know, in this month so that we can contact people, make phone calls, contact people in October before enrollment time in November to see if we can get a couple of people to take a chance on it. And it's a savings for them and a savings for us. So I think this is a good way to maybe try and enhance people to opt in. So that's what this resolution would be doing, is lowering the employee contribution if they choose this.
any questions?
Move it.
Yeah, move it for discussion.
Second.
Oh, good idea. Any further comments or questions, Jim?
Yeah, how long have we had that as an option? No,
Handful of years.
handful, so not long.
No.
And, all right. And we getting any feedback from any of the employees that have?
I haven't spoken to anybody, but I mean, people in the city of Auburn, like I said, they have a lot more people on it. They're very happy with it. The co-pays for pharmacy are the same. It's a little bit different model in that there's actually no co-insurance. They have a co-pay at visits, but there's no deductible for individual, actually. I was looking at it and then we have it side by side. So I mean, you know, unfortunately, a lot of our retirees don't have to pay anything for their health insurance. They retired at a point when there was no employee participation. So I'm not thinking any of those people are going to opt in, but this is significant savings that we really want to try and push with our retirees, especially for families and people who, you know, are on a fixed income. And it's a lot of money for them to save, and the coverage appears to be really that we're able to. This was the one thing there's a lot of misinformation about, is a lot of people think the Medicare Advantage plans are not that good. But the plan that is available to us as an employer, a large employer, it's a different type of plan than an individual can sign up for. It's the same as being like the insurance you can get, you know, working at the county. It's not the same Excel Blue Cross if you try and buy it as an individual. You know, it's just not the same product. So there has unfortunately been quite a lot of misinformation amongst even our employees here who just are afraid to try it. So that's what we're going to try and reach out personally, make some phone calls and see if we can get people to at least talk to Pam and Courtney in the treasurer's office, who then can, you know, they trust them a lot. They can maybe, you know, be able to convey some information to them a little more personally, and we'll see. And I think once we can get 40, 50 people, then the word of mouth will start working amongst people who know each other, you know, to start spreading it even more. And we are going to allow these people to opt in 1 year and switch back if they want to. So I don't want to, you know, dissuade people that it's permanent change. So.
Sounds good.
Any further questions? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Number 5, I believe. Motion,
Move it.
second,
I'll second it.
okay, discussion?
Yep. Yeah. So who can speak to this, but I'd like to know a little bit more about this worker bonus for the healthcare and mental hygiene workers.
Yes, I can.
You talked about it last month that it was coming, right?
Yes, this was included in the governor's budget. And we finally kind of got information on it about a month or so ago, I would say, very specific detailed information about who we have to pay it to. It's required by law that we pay it, or we can be fined by individual. So it's come out to be about 30 people in the mental health department qualified by their title, and about 6 people in the health department. And then we have a couple other nurses in some other departments that are also qualifying for this bonus. The maximum will be $3,000 that they can receive, and pretty much 2 payments of $1,500. We are going to be reimbursed for the cost by the state, and they are actually covering the Social Security, the FICA that the employer pays also. They are going to pay that to us. You will actually see this resolution coming many times, because every time that we're going to have to pay that, it also applies to new employees. This runs through 2024. So as people come on, there's like 6-month vesting periods to earn these $1,500. So the next time we bring it, it will have a lot of employees on it again. Those will be all the people who have been working here already, you know, who've been like long-term employees. Then it will shorten it down to probably just new hires, you know, 1 or 2 people's names on them. So this will kind of be a recurring thing for, you know, could be for the next 2 years, just as if we hire someone, they'll be able to qualify for it.
Any further question?
I'm sorry if I may. And I'm assuming you have a list of those folks that are
I do.
eligible?
I do. I worked with, you know, the payroll department and the departments that are eligible for this, and we kind of all worked together to make sure we were capturing everybody.
I'll come by your office.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments?
Just a clarification, since the licensed social worker is there, the fact that Lauren's having difficulty getting this global crisis, this payment could also apply to a new hire in terms of recruiting.
It absolutely applies to new hires if they meet the title of the requirements in the
It's a way of getting these titles that are hard to
recruitment
recruit
and
retain.
retention was the point of the state passing this to. It really is, you know, if you read the legislation, it's probably written a little bit more for hospitals and nursing homes, because there were such problems of people quitting, people leaving, and trying to entice them. And it's actually not eligible for a lot of these traveling nurses. I mean, it's not eligible for if you're not employed by the actual entity that can bill Medicaid. That seems to be a lot of the driving kind of language that's in these things, but municipalities were specifically included to be covered with this also.
Mr. Chair, just one quick question. Again, just to follow up, as I understand, we're required to do this and will be punitive measures unless we do. Right?
Yes, yep.
Don't forget the ones that were fired too.
They're not on it.
I know, but when we're talking about why there's shortages.
Okay,
I want to ask.
no further comments, questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Health and Human Services, again,
Yep, Health and Human Services had 11 resolutions that went through committee. If I could talk about H86 that Amanda sent out late in the afternoon, that was amended at the meeting. And the only real issue around amending that resolution is there was some language in there. The resolution itself is to authorize the chair of the legislature and the Social Services Commissioner to enter into a contract with Cayuga County Mental Health for reports and assessments on the placement of children in a qualified residential treatment program. All we did was we amended some of the language so that it is clearly only referring to the contract between DSS and our county mental health. There was some extra language in and any other qualified evaluator that comes forward. And we also changed the contract period starting October 1st through the end of December of 23. So it really cleaned up the resolution to make it very specific to doing business just with our county mental health department. So with that amendment, I would make a motion to put together HH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as amended, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and offer them as a bundle unless anyone wants any of them broken out and discussed individually.
I like number 8 separated just because I have a couple
Okay.
questions. So I'll make a motion to bundle 1 through 11 minus 8. How's that?
Oh, Chris is giving me my schooling on this. I need a motion on the amendment, even though it's amended. Okay, okay,
Okay, I'll second her amendment.
okay. Vote on it.
I guess so.
On the amendment.
Any discussion?
For number 6.
Yes, on the amendment.
Okay, I got some discussion if I could. So I have, because I got a lot of questions. Is the intention to only do business with the county, or is
No,
it because?
the intention was to not have it so vague that says, and any other qualified evaluator that comes forward. What was it going to be? There may be different rates for those qualified evaluators.
Okay, and just to follow up, I assume there's it's probably expeditious to have the county departments do the reports. There's no concerns with having the same entity producing the same reports as the child moves through the system.
If I'm not mistaken, Christine talked about the other qualified evaluators, maybe some from these residential care facilities themselves, who put a team together to do these evaluations so that they could go to the court. But no, they are looking at doing it with mental health, capping it at $2,500. And there may be other qualified evaluators who meet the criteria that come forward. And if they do, they'll bring the resolution forward with the dollar amount of the contract. And you wanted,
So for clarification, are we voting on 6 alone, Chris?
So should,
The
if you vote on the amendment and it passes, she can bundle 1 through
Oh, okay,
20 and including 6 as amended.
so we have to vote on the amendment now.
Okay, any further discussion? Not all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Amendment.
All right, so now sorry.
So it's carried and
So I'll make a motion to bundle all of the rest except for 8.
I'll second that.
discussion. Done. Okay, we'll proceed to vote on everything except 8. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
Now I'll move number 8 for discussion.
okay,
I'll second it for discussion.
I have a question, Hans.
okay.
I just want to, because of the wording, community service to abolish, create, and fill. Is it all an equal number? Are they abolishing?
Actually, and I don't have the fiscal impact in front of me, but it was prepared by the mental health department so that the committee could see what the fiscal impact of this. They have a typist that just vacated a position. Typist is an old position, old control number. They want to replace that typist position when they fill it by creating a senior clerk that will have some continuity of all of the functions that they're doing in the front office. So basically, they're abolishing a grade 3 at step 4. So the fiscal impact for this year is probably, I don't have it in front of me, but it is less
Small
expensive
savings, right?
this year, small savings this year. But going forward, we'll be replacing, if this passes, a clerical position that was once a grade 3 that is now a step 1 grade 8. So they it looks more confusing than it is. They've got a typist that vacated a position and they want to fill it with a senior clerk,
So there's just one position,
one position. Yep.
okay, because the way it reads it.
Yeah, so abolish the typist, create and fill the senior clerk, and due to a resignation. So the numbers won't change, just the title will be a senior clerk will be replacing a typist.
So can we, I mean, Chris, does it make sense to make an amendment to put,
I'm going to defer to Mr. Russell.
okay?
So
Does it make sense? I mean, it says to abolish, create and fill positions. We're only talking about one.
would you, are you more comfortable with abolish a position and label that position and then?
That's what I was-
Another.
Yeah, that's
Abolish the
what I was,
typist and create and fill a senior clerk.
yeah,
You want the title to be more definitive?
yeah. I mean, it just, well, I mean, it sounds here like we're giving permission to fill positions.
Then make the appropriate, Mr. Dennison, then make the appropriate amendments within the resolution to line up with that title change.
What we're doing, yeah.
And see, honestly, I think the body of the resolution is less confusing than the title of the resolution, because it says resolve, the Director of Community Services will be authorized and directed to abolish the grade 3 typist position with the control number, and resolve that the Director of Community Services will be authorized and directed to create a grade 8 senior clerk. So that's more clear than
I say, that's, yeah, that's good.
So the
that's in the
amendment,
body of the resolution.
Okay.
So he can change the title of the resolution to be clear, but the body of it is quite clear what they're doing.
right, basically to track the language in that resolve and
Yep.
have that as the title.
Yep.
So is that your amendment?
Sure.
Okay,
Second.
yeah, abolish the grade 3 typist and, create and fill the senior clerk.
Understood.
Sure, like he said.
Okay, it's been moved to amend. Do you have a question?
Second?
Has it been seconded?
Yes.
All right, I do have a question. Thank you. I'm a little confused as to why we're just gonna eliminate a typist person and make them a senior clerk. Why?
Well, because at the time of the typist resignation, I think that's the opportunity to look at when you go to fill the new position. And when the typist who had been there multiple years retired in that title, they looked at the work that was being done and they felt the better fit was a senior clerk in terms of the duties that were assigned. So once the position is vacant, it's an opportunity to relook at the actual job itself and replace it with a more suitable title. The person doing the office work in there is also the senior clerk as well. So the typist, from what she said, was an older title. This fit more with the work. And once it's vacated, now's the time to relook at that. And the fiscal impact, like Bob was saying, obviously a grade 3 at step 4 with longevity, the grade 8, step 1 is cheaper in the beginning. And
In the
that's,
beginning, but
no,
down the
not
road.
after that. No, this will be a higher title going forward, but one that more appropriately fits the work.
Any further questions on the amendment?
I'll buy this.
Everybody know what the amendment
I
is now?
think Lauren is on. Lauren,
Yes.
do you want to weigh in on why you decided that the typist title wasn't appropriate and the senior clerk made more sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a good job, but I think it's because the titles in the front office are all starting to become the same, which is senior clerk titles, because they're all interchangeable as far as the work that they do. So that's why we looked at it when that position was vacated, to be able to, change that to a senior clerk to better fit, like you said, the job duties and what everybody else is also doing, and the other titles that match.
How many senior clerks are you gonna end up within this office? That's my question.
We have, I would have to look, but we do have quite a few, because our front office staff, we have about 4 people in the front office at one time. Plus our intake workers are also, they're interchangeable as well. I believe we have 4, if not, this will be 5. But don't quote me on that. I have to go back and look for
Well,
sure.
I guess my concern is the senior clerk title is fine for one person because that's the senior clerk. The way I understand the word or definition of senior. The rest of them should be just clerks. Because you have,
Well-
obviously, we have one senior clerk in the county ledge, then we have a deputy clerk.
The person that oversees the front office is in a different title, so that's technically the supervisor for the senior clerks. I just was looking at like the titles that were there and the work that everyone was doing. It made sense for it to all be the same title.
I think, and I'm now confused, Lauren, the senior clerk has specific duties they can do versus a clerk. It's not that
Correct.
it's not that they're supervisory in nature.
Yes,
Is that true?
yes, that
I
is
think that's
true.
the confusion. They
It's
have,
not, yes,
they do clerk work, but they do it at a senior level. It's not that they're the supervisor. It was
Yes.
my understanding.
that is correct.
Any further questions? If not, we'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Okay.
Now we gotta vote on it.
Resolution as amended.
Number 6.
Eight, number eight.
Okay,
Make a motion for the resolution as amended. Can I get you need a first and a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll do it first.
you did that.
Okay,
No, that was on the amendment, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm just making. sure.
No, you're right now. You have to vote on it.
Right. Okay, okay. All those in favor of whatever we're voting on,
That's right.
say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Government operations.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I think I'm back on track. Never know. Government ops, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Government Operations has 10 resolutions. There was some discussion in committee, but it doesn't look like I'm getting any flags on the play at this time, so I'll offer Government Operations 1 through 10 as a bundle.
In a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion on the bundle. Anybody wants anything separated? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried again. Thank you. Banning. Who's got banning tonight? Who's the sub chair?
Supposed to be Brian. but
Both
he's
are
not.
absent.
You want me to run it, Mr. Chair?
I sit in that committee.
Yes, go ahead.
We don't want to.
So if you want to just move it through?
Yeah.
So in the absence of the chair and the vice chair, I'll move PL1, authorizing the use of additional ARPA funds for the purchase of aquatic weed harvester for soil and water.
Move it.
Second it, Mark.
Any discussion on it? I think we all know what happened, so. Hearing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So it's carried. Thank you. Public Works. It's your
Public
turn.
Works had 7. I'm gonna offer 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 as a bundle because Gary's gonna have a little discussion on 2.
You're moving?
Yeah.
Is the second?
Second. Seal.
Okay, we're open for discussion. Anybody? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Again.
All right, so PW2 was the whole thing with the church. Gary just needs to explain something. Everybody, go ahead.
Okay, so what happened with PW2? This originated with Westminster Church wants or needs to dig up along the south side of our parking lot, 13 spaces, to do trenching and repair to the foundation of the church. And that's what was approved at Public Works, basically that damage to our parking lot, which they're going to refurbish and take care of. So that was approved at Public Works. Subsequent to that, so they were going out to the road with this drainage, they're gonna put a drainage line in. Went out to the road with a drainage line, and they plan on going down along the road, in the road right away to a storm drain that's down the road a little ways. Well, the city of Auburn informed them they're not gonna let them dig up the road. So that means they've got to dig up along the east side of our parking lot and sidewalk in order to do this work. So instead of 13 parking spots, like the resolution currently reads, it's 14 parking spots. Again, they're going to repair all the damage. For those of you that checked your email today, at 9:23, I sent you a copy of this resolution with as amended, along with pictures and a drawing that shows what they're planning on doing. For those of you that look at the pictures, the parking lot in that area is in bad shape already, as is the sidewalk. So any damage they do and anything they fix is gonna be a benefit to us. On top of that, just so you know, I haven't been through my budget meeting yet, but I did budget to redo that parking lot next year because the whole parking lot really is in need of repair. So in essence, what I'm proposing is changing the following wording in this resolution. After the fourth whereas, I'm gonna add I'd like to add a whereas. It has been determined that Westminster Church will also need to excavate along the eastern side of our parking lot and sidewalk, affecting one additional parking spot. And I'm going to propose to amend the fifth whereas, where it says 13 parking spaces, it'd be 14 parking spaces. The sixth whereas, where it says parking lot, would be returned to the same condition. I'd say parking lot and sidewalk. And then I also add the word masonry work along with paving in that area for number 6. And number 7 would change from 13 parking spots to 14 parking spots. Then the first resolved would be adding from the use of the 13 parking spots and one easternmost parking spot. So that's basically what the changes would be. And I know Sarah has this already, and if she doesn't, I'll give it to her. But I know that the clerk of the legislature has it highlighted in red. You guys all have it highlighted in red as far as the changes, so you can look at it. But that's what we're proposing to amend, and that's why I'm here to spell it out.
Need a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve it as amended.
Second what he said.
Okay, discussion? Any comments? I guess not, so all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you.
So I'll move PW2 as amended.
Hans,
Second, yeah.
you need to move the resolution now as amended.
We just
Yeah, you
did.
just did that.
I'll move it as
You
amended.
have to amend it first and then move it as amended. I thought you just did the amendments. So
No, yes, we did the amendment, I think.
I'm moving it as amended.
thank you, Mr.
Jim is seconding it.
And
Now we can vote on the.
Any further discussion?
Stop confusing us, Brett.
Sorry about that.
Got it.
We were so
My
happy.
boss is here, he's making me nervous.
We were so happy, we almost had it right.
Kind of made me become a lawyer is.
We were excited. We did it right.
That's my 6-month review, so I'm really.
Say it fast enough, Andy. He'd already had his objection ready to go. You were right when you moved it.
You were right.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as amended?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. I believe Mr. Strong is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. JPS has 13 resolutions tonight. JP3 and JP4 vote at committee. I would like to offer JP1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 as a bundle. They all pass through committee unless somebody would like one separated.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, we're open for discussion on all the resolutions. Anyone on anything? If not, all those in favor of
Aye.
the resolutions?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried.
Chairman.
Thank you. And I guess we're ready for adjournment unless somebody else has some other business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job, on.